session is being recorded. So we are doing a recording of it. Looking right quick to see if there's anything else popped up in email on me right now. There's not. Other than I see somebody. She's written me that they can't get in. All right, we'll go ahead and go from here, but I am going to watch and see if this other one pops up, something else, to try to be friendly. This is 2451. It is the first Cisco class, and that we did chapter 1 last week, and as far as I know, we're doing chapter 2 this week. I just got back in. Yeah, it is. Okay. It's been a normal busy day for me. So chapter 1 is going to do an overview of what networking is, and then chapter 2 gets into some actual hands-on, which is nice for you because you're actually doing something, not just studying it. This course used to be purely a study and no labs to it, and I think most students find it a lot more interesting to be able to do some work as they go along besides reading and learning all the material. There is he wrote me back and said he's in here, but he's not here. I know where he's at. He's in the general session. There he is. Okay, let me mark in here too. So now let me go over a couple of things about the class itself before we talk about specific things in here today. One, in the collaborate sessions, for them to count in place of your discussion, you do have to post some comments and or questions over in the chat box. And that is on the lower right side of your screen. There is a arrow over there, purple arrow, should be down at the bottom right. If you click on it, it opens a panel to you. The first option on it shows a little balloon down at the bottom of the page, so that's the chat box. You probably see one comment in there already from one of your classmates. That's where y'all can type in things to me, questions, comments, etc., and I'll follow those during the class and be answering them in the middle of it. So think about it just like if you were in a lecture with me, if we were in a classroom and I was lecturing this to you, that y'all could at any point throw me questions or comments on what I'm saying. So that's there. The other part is you can also use a microphone and say things to me of the same things using a microphone. I know somebody had a microphone on when we started. I don't know if anybody still does or not, but I heard the microphone on one person. And so you can do that. I'll allow the mics in here as long as they don't get to be a problem. So that we don't have, there's not background noise getting in the way or whatever. So far, I've had no problem with it, but I have been in some larger classes with some others that it was a problem on it and that we had to just go to the chat box. The online class I just finished right before Christmas. All we could do was type in chat box. One that I start tomorrow night on Pen Plus, certification train the trainer class. And I'll run for 12 sessions, 2 sessions a week for the next 6 weeks or so. That'll run the same way, just chat box. But we do chat in that class, but there's like 150 or more of us in the class. So if you tried to do open microphones, that would be a problem. And I have taught 4 of those classes, as you see mentioned in your course content material, that I tell you where you can look up listen to some things I did in there. So we'll do on that. But again, by the time we finish class, I need to have had some type of comment or question from every one of you. And that could be even a comment back and forth, that where y'all started talking back and forth with each other, and as I'm listening in on it too, obviously, watching it on it, and that I'll throw in stuff. So I'm glad the 7 of y'all found it today. We've got at the moment something like 48 students in this class. Today is no-show day. I have to turn in the no-shows by the end of today, and there's a couple of people who have not done their no-show assignment yet, which I'm going to write them and remind them again as soon as this finishes, so that hopefully that people stay with it. In these sessions, I will be going over the chapters. I will also talk about sometimes some things happening here at school and such, and related things to the class, could be even some other on it. So treat it and think about it as just like you were coming to class for a lecture on it. Except my lectures, even and that I'm doing this the same as if I was doing it in the classroom, is that they're fairly open. I'm not one that gets up to give a lecture and doesn't allow anything from students until I get to the end of it. I like the interactivity on it. So as we're going over stuff, as something, if you don't follow on something or whatever, or you got some other question about it, ask it. Or if you've got a comment about it, make the comment. So hopefully you can all see where you do type into the chat box. Again, I say that's down there on the right bottom of the screen, and that purple double-headed arrow pointing in. If you click on that, that will pull in a box to you, and that the first option there for you is the chat box. I don't think I'll have the second option that I do. That you may not have the other options on it. I'm not sure which options appears on y'all's, because as instructor I see a few things differently. So I know I've got a tool one that I can set some different tools. Actually, y'all probably can on that one, because that lets you set up your microphone and stuff. And I don't think you have the other two, because one of them shows me who all is attending. You may have that one, I'm not sure. It's my second one, and it shows that there's a couple of people, a little stick drawing. But the big thing is the balloon one, sort of like in a cartoon where they draw the little balloon out showing what the people are saying in the newspaper cartoons. So we are in chapter 1 at this past week that ends today, and then we will get into chapter 2 after that started today, that actually started yesterday and runs through next Monday. And in there, in chapter 2, you actually have an assignment to do. In chapter 1 in this course, there was no assignment given to you other than just read and study. But I did give you some other things, and I'm going to add another thing too that I'll mention now. I told you in there about the packet tracer course that is at NetAcad. I strongly encourage you to go ahead and at least do the first unit or two in it. It's just a short little course anyway. It will show you what you can do in packet tracer. Although I think that version is that it's still using a 7.3. So your version of packet tracer, which is version 8.1, I believe it is, it's at least 8. And I think 8.1 is the one that's out there now. Somebody found the chat button and just told me what the number is, I think. Nope. Okay. I don't know what that was. Usually when I get a beep, it's telling me somebody entered something at that point. So in version 8, it's got a lot of other neat things additionally in it. It's got a physical interface to it now where you can actually see the wires hanging and everything else on it. And you'll take advantage of a little of that later on. But the big thing about what you can do with packet tracers covered in that class. So I want you to go through that. When you finish it, it will give you a certificate of attendance for having done it, and that will be marked as one of your assignment grades for the course. But I don't have a deadline out there for you to complete it by, but it'll be to your advantage to get it done, at least the first parts of it, the earlier the better, because this week's assignment uses packet tracer. And then beyond that, you also have a permission form to get to me. That has to be, I have to have the form with your original signature on it. So that means you can't email it to me. It's going to have to be gotten to me. Now, you've got a couple of choices on how you get it to me. Now, I don't have a deadline on when I get it, but I'll tell you in a second what the restriction is going to be because of it. You can mail it to me, and I've got my mailing address in there in the Chapter 1, Module 1 assignment. They call them modules in the online curriculum. They call them chapters in the physical book. So if that's not confusing, so that's where I may say chapter or module. And in my writings, it may say chapter or module. Also, it's referring to the same thing in both cases, because the printed material in both is the same. The online has some additional interactive things for you to do, and also some videos for you to watch. That neither one of those is if you're reading it through the book. So, but some people like really reading from the book, so the book was there as an optional activity. If you're in 2601 and you didn't attend my morning session on that one, the book that I had as an optional book for it is the wrong book. There's not a book for that one. There's two different cyber ops courses out there that Cisco has, and the one that we're doing is not the one with the book. I have the book for the other one. As far as the permission form, you can mail it to me, or you can take it to one of the campuses of GNTC and just leave it at the main desk. Tell them to send it to me, and they'll send it by interoffice mail to me, and it will get to me. Either way will be fine. If you're over here at the Walker campus, you can also come by and leave it with me in my office if I'm here at that point. If I'm not here, then leave it up at the front desk in the admin building. Or you don't even have to bother to come back here to see if I'm here. You can just leave it up there if you want. But it's got to be one of the two. I will be marking those off in the grade book as I get them. But don't email it to me. Don't ask what my fax number is. That's not going to do any good. But when you leave it at the main desk at whichever campus, tell them you need it sent, physically sent to me, to please use interoffice mail. Because sometimes they want to turn around and decide that they can just email it to me also, which doesn't work. But I think I may have gotten them all trained on that now. So as far as the permission form, I didn't put a deadline on it, but I need it within the first couple of weeks. Where this will come into play is I can't put your assignment grades over in Netacad until I have that form. Now, your test grades, I can move them from Netacad to Blackboard. So the grade book in Blackboard will be correct along the way. As soon as I move the test grades, and I will try to move those each week on it, or each time we have a test on it, get them moved over within a few days. I prefer not to try to move those grades until after the test is due, because it's a lot easier just to go down one by one transferring the grades, because I got to physically transfer. The assignment grades going over to Netacad, that gets a complete listing of your grade there too. And at the end of the semester, I will make sure that both grade books match on what grade you earned. I catch errors that way in the Cisco classes. Makes it much more reliable on it. So it's not something that I got to have immediately. The permission form is sitting in Chapter 1 in assignments in Blackboard in that folder, along with my addresses written up in the write-up there also. So if you just go in there, you'll see the permission form and you can print it. But it is in Chapter 1 or Module 1, whichever I called it. I don't know if it's chapter or module. They used to be chapters, and I say the book still uses chapter, but where they develop their online material, even though they're doing the same material, they call it modules. And that's confusing, and for the same thing, but that's the way it goes. So be aware of that one, okay? So make sure that you do work on getting the permission form and the doing the packet tracer course also. But the permission form, it's not anything immediately critical. You've got time to get that to me. So if you know you're going to be on campus next week, but you're not this week, you can drop it off next week. If you want to mail it to me, you can mail it to me. Just put it in a regular envelope and just write my name on the envelope and put the 55-cent stamp, or how much ever the stamps are now, on there. They're 50-some cents, and I don't remember the amount. I buy them a roll at a time. I don't use as many as I used to, and I don't remember how much I paid the last time I paid for a roll. So I'm not exactly sure how much, because I get the forever stamps. So whatever on it. All right. Now, any questions on all of that before I start throwing new stuff at you? So I am going to give you in this class extra materials, just like that packet tracer course. That's an extra that we're having you do. It doesn't cost the school anything. That we can let y'all use whichever of the courses that we're authorized to teach out there at Cisco without that we pay an annual fee to them, which is really a maintenance fee for me to be able to get assistance when needed, which isn't very often because I used to be the school I was at before. We were that higher level, so I was providing assistance to other schools. So as the guy over us now says, he doesn't expect to get questions from me very often, because I'm already know and have searched for the answers for others. And those used to be regional academies. Now they're called something else, AGSs or something. I can't remember what they're called, but I think it is. It's A something S, ACS, GS or something. But they're the next level of support through the Cisco system. And then it goes on up to the high ups in Cisco, who sometimes when I have a problem, I actually write straight to them. Yes, William. I am recording the session. I will normally, and this is what I try to do, I usually try to get the recordings posted the night of the day. So for instance, tonight I will try to. Now I can't promise always works exactly this way, okay? Because we're talking about in the evening after I get off work. I have to download the recording from Blackboard, and then I turn around and upload it to YouTube, and then I put the link in Blackboard to YouTube. I try to do that the evening after I've done the sessions. I would do them here at school, and once in a while I still try on it, but our connection here at school to the internet is not the best connection. It's not the fastest. I've got a much faster connection sitting at home, and I don't have the fastest connection at home either, but it does everything I need and is faster than what I need. And it's faster than here, so I can download and upload a lot quicker at home on these than from here. Now, the reason for that process is because the recordings are supposed to have to be ADA compliant. So that means they got to be either closed captioned or have a complete transcript with them. If I upload them to YouTube, I don't know if any of y'all have known this, but YouTube and actually Facebook does it now too. They live closed caption stuff. So like I do put the church service on Sunday mornings on Facebook for a good while now, at least since last summer. They've been closed captioning our services, and there's no extra charge or anything for that. So by me putting them onto YouTube, that meets the ADA requirement that they be closed captioned for those that are hard to hear or on it. And so I try to get those up as quickly as possible. Now, if you attend these live sessions and you participated here, okay, so it's not just attending, and so several of y'all have participated now. These questions like y'all are asking right now is the type of things I'm looking for, or even when the response that Jalen gave for when I asked if there was any more questions that with the no sir on that one. Those are all things that will count as participation. But I would like to have several things put in by each of you because these are supposed to be engagement activities. If you do that, then you will get 100 for your discussion for that week. So then I saw somebody else had come in. So I'm trying to get that one added. So we've got 9 participants in here now. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's somebody else in here. Okay, let's see who it is. So I will go into the grade book. I'll try to go in that same day, but I won't always promise on that. It depends on when I get a chance to get there to put these in, because I am recording it on a piece of paper. It actually is also recorded out there in Blackboard, in Collaborate, that I can go back and it will show me the list of who all was in here attending. I will put the hundreds in for y'all at that point. So it may be tomorrow before I get a chance to, I don't know. This one being later in the afternoon. Now, the other one is I am doing these for your class, 2 of them per week. What I will go over tomorrow should be the same thing as I did today and this one. So you only need to attend one of the 2. Each of them will be essentially the same as the other one. I'm not reading from a script or anything, so they're going to wander, and it depends on what people ask questions of, etc. Now, the additional one I want to throw at you now is that I am going to add out there another thing that I want you to do. That I want y'all to go out and use Try Hack Me. And that's a site out there of a training site for training people to learn how to do cybersecurity and pen testing and networking. And they've got a good little basic course on networking and on security and some other stuff. And the things I'm going to assign to you is totally free. Now, you can join out there. I believe it's $8 a month as a student or $10 a month as a non-student. And that it gets you into more spots than you can get into just in the free. But the free gives you a lot. And what I'm going to assign is the free. I've been doing stuff in it for a month. Try Hack Me wrote me yesterday and told me I had been a member for a month. I've done several things in there now. I went through the introduction to networking. I'm actually doing another one that's a basic networking thing and going through them. It teaches you the material, and then it asks you questions about what you just learned and a few questions that you're supposed to go out and research a little bit on. It does a lighter approach. It's not as in-depth as our book, but it gives you an overview, and I like the way it was done. The only problem I've had so far with it, and I've been on it almost every day for at least a couple of minutes, is that they do have one big error in it. They've got the wrong number of addresses that IPv6 has. But that's the only thing I found wrong so far. They present things in a very basic approach. I've liked some of their examples, and I probably will use some of their examples on some stuff. So I'm going to add that out there for y'all to do. So I'll give you the link out there. It's actually tryhackme, not hackme.com. TRYHACK. Let me just type it in. And if any of y'all are already out there as members of Try Hack Me and have done the courses that I'm going to have you do, that's no problem. You won't have to redo them. You'll just click back to them, and it puts green boxes when you answer the questions correctly, and then changes to a little green thing for showing that you completed that room and stuff on it. That's what I'm going to have you turn in, is print screens of those screens. So if you already are a member of Try Hack Me and have done the things I assign, nothing you have to redo. You'll just print screens of those little courses that I have you do. Okay, so hopefully tomorrow morning I'll get that posted in there for y'all on that so that y'all can do it. No, you've just given yourself, Claudine, double the amount of work you need to do. For the discussion grade, there's 2 ways you can do it in my classes. One is you can do the weekly discussion, which is where you have to make an initial post each week, and the discussions will pop up on Monday morning at 12:01 a.m. that you have to make the initial post by Friday night at 11:59. And then by that Monday night after that, you have to respond to 2 students. That's one way you can get your discussion grade. If you attend the live session like you're doing right now and participate in it, like you just did, Claudine, then that counts. You will get 100 for that week's discussion grade. And you don't have to do anything with the discussion that week. Yes, the Try Hack Me is free of what I have that I'm going to have y'all doing. So you're not signing up to pay for it. I have not done the page yet. I got a former student that told me all about it and that loves it and that has been paying for a year doing it. And that's getting their bachelor's degree in cybersecurity, well, actually in IT with a lot of cybersecurity this spring, and is actually preparing to go to work on her master's degree in cybersecurity and has a job doing some cybersecurity now too. So it's and since I've gotten into it and playing with it, it's been interesting and fun. But it's the free, and I talked to Try Hack Me. I was hoping they would let us have the whole thing for free during the course, but no, they wouldn't. As a matter of fact, if I had tried to do it that way with them, the price went up. But then I'd be able to tell exactly how many minutes y'all were in everything, and I don't really need to know that. So we're just going to go with the free version because it's got all the stuff I'm going to have for y'all to do. The exams or tests, whichever one you want to call them. Netacad calls them exams, I call them tests. So realize those are synonymous terms in this course. That is 40% of your grade in this class. I don't remember how many of them there are. I think there's about 5 or 6 of them, but I'm not sure. They cover different numbers of chapters each time. The first one is after chapter 2. So the first test exam will be due next Monday and has been available since yesterday. It is in Netacad. They are in Netacad. They are multiple choice exams, and you're just going to take them wherever. You are agreeing not to cheat on them. I don't think I have the note out there on it at the beginning warning you again on that. But the only thing you should have when you take the test is your brain, and you can have a blank piece of paper and a pen and pencil with you to write notes on as you take the test. Now, once you finish the test, you got to destroy that piece of paper, and you can't look up stuff on the computer. You're not allowed to do that, and you're not allowed to have your best friend that is a networking expert sit beside you and tell you what the answers are. Now, that's on your honor on. But if I find out that you violated that, you can flunk the test, get a 0 on the test. And if you do it again, I can have you removed from the class with an F in the class. And the school may take action against you at that point too for dishonesty. But they'll be done. You'll just do them wherever you're doing your work on stuff in Netacad. You get 1 try on each test. They are basically multiple choice tests, but they could have multiple answer questions. The difference between those two is multiple choice has 1 answer, which usually has radio buttons, and multiple answer is where there's more than 1 right answer and you have to choose all of them. And you have the little square buttons for those. So usually the question gives itself away. CompTIA certification exams always do on that, even if they don't tell you. If it's not real clear on whether they want 1 or more answers, they'll be there. And CompTIA is usually good, and Cisco, for the last time I took one of their certification exams on, but you know how many answers they want. Microsoft can have tons of answers, but usually Cisco and CompTIA only want 2 or 3 answers if they want more than one answer on it. So there is a variety of questions. There could be some true false mixed in there also. So that's that part. Any questions on that? So today's session, we're going to be a lot on that. Now, Chapter 1 is just an overview of networking. Chapter 2 gets into you actually going in Packet Tracer, and you're going to set up, I think your switches, your switches. That they're going to have you set up your switches in there, and they're going to teach you about your basic command line. Yes, you do need to do that. The Packet Tracer class, it's not a certification. You need to finish that because that is one of your grades in this class. And preferably do it before you do Chapter 2's assignment, okay? Actually, preferably do it before you read Chapter 2. So, no, I don't have a due date, but you need to finish it in the first few weeks. But I would definitely encourage you to at least go in there and do the first unit or 2 in it. And it's not very long. There's not much in it, but you're going to see in that little class, especially the last couple of units in it, of what all you can really do in Packet Tracer. Packet Tracer is not just for setting up standard networks of routers and switches and some PCs to them. It does all of that, and it's done all of that for years. Now what they have added to Packet Tracer when they got to like version 6, I think it was, and 7 definitely had it real well, which is what your training's actually showing you on is 7, is that you can put IoT devices in there, and you can set up an all IoT thing. You can set it up that you can put ceiling fans in a room and then have it connected to your network and set up that ceiling fan when so the ceiling fan comes on when the thermometer that you have stuck on the wall that is an IoT device, when it reaches the temperature of 75 degrees, the ceiling fan comes on. Or to turn lights on and all of the things you've heard about IoT. I think there's sprinkler heads in there too. There's a bunch of IoT devices for you to play with in there. So there's a lot of neat little things you can do with it of setting up networks. It is a simulation. And if you'd had your hand up, Deidre, I didn't ever realize it. And maybe that's what I was seeing.
No, I just raised it.
Okay.
When you're done, I have a question.
Okay. Give me just a second.
Okay.
So get the Packet Tracer one done as soon as possible. I've got a video out there also where I go through, at least before you do Chapter 2, watch my video on how to use Packet Tracer. Just realize you're looking at 7.3, not 8.1 that you're using. So a few of the buttons have moved around. I think I still have in your class, and I need to change it. I meant to do it this weekend, but this was supposed to be a 3-day holiday weekend for me. I'll showing you where the fast forward button is, which is really neat in Packet Tracer. As you set up your networks, you're going to discover it takes time for stuff to go around your network, and certain things get sent out every 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds. And so your network takes that long to update, and that's the way it works in the real world. However, in Packet Tracer, there is a fast forward button, and you can click that button and it jumps 30 seconds forward in time on that click. So now you can click it 2 or 3 times and save and be able to see things happen much quicker. I have students, former students, tell me that when they go out to work using Cisco equipment that they get frustrated there's no fast forward button on the real equipment, that when they have to sit there and wait for things, and some things it takes a few minutes to replicate all around the network. Not your beginning things, but you'll find later as you continue on that there are things like that. So fast forward is a really neat button. The screen print I had out there for it was for 7.3, or at least it was version 7, and it has moved on version 8, so I need to put another screen print for you showing where it is on version 8. You will turn into me for the packet tracer activities. You will submit to me the actual file that you work in, the file that they give you to work in, and that then you do all your work through it and on that. So I'm going to answer Deidre's question, and then I'm going to go live in Packet Tracer, because like I say, the rest of a lot of the stuff I'm going to go back to, if I get a chance, go back through some of these definitions in chapter 1 for you real quickly. We may run over an hour today, but if you drop out after an hour, no problem. I understand y'all got other things to do, but that's going to be the way it's going to happen on some of the sessions in this class. Is we're going to have so much to cover that getting it done in an hour is going to be rough. But I want to show you on Packet Tracer, and I'll show you a couple of the things I was just talking about, and also a requirement I have in this class. All right, Deidre, go for it.
You may answer my question if you're getting ready to go into Packet Tracer, but my first question was, when we save our files, I know we have to use the PKA ending. Um, can we change the file names? Do you mind that? It would just
The
make it
file name you can change, but stay with the PKA name that's
okay.
on it when you download it, okay? And I'll show you, remind me when I'm going through, if I get through it and I didn't say anything about save, remind me to mention on that one, because there's a few save options and I want to make sure you do the right one. Because you could save it as a .pkz, and I don't want that. That is a zipped packet tracer file, and that's messes up for me.
Okay. My other question was, so I did the Packet Tracer activity 2.3.7, and I'm looking at the switch, and I know the medium was connected to the console port, but when I hover over it, it doesn't say console point. It says the VLAN, and I know one of your handouts you said we'll learn about that later. But is that the same port, or am I missing something?
If it's going to the console port, that's a different port. It should
Right.
be, you're plugging into, because if you're plugging the cable that goes to the console port, that's not a VLAN, because that is just a connection. That's a special connection that you actually are using a rollover cable in there.
Okay. And that's what I thought. I read that somewhere.
So let me show you that in just a minute.
Okay. All right. That's all.
I'll bring up a switch and then I'll point out the couple of different ports real quick to you. Now, in there, it is a simulation. It's not literally live. There is another program, GNS3, that you can do live, but the problem is Cisco stuff. I can get the software for us to put in there, but they license all of their software, so but it works just like the real stuff. And 1 week I will try to actually hook up to a real router or a real switch and show you that it's identically the same stuff pops up for you as it pops up for you in Packet Tracer. So you are literally learning how to work on them in it, except for that you get to click on the thing instead of having to use emulation software to get into the switch or router. But Packet Tracer, when it first came out, when I was taking Cisco, which I took back in 2001 to learn how to teach the classes, because to be a Cisco instructor, you actually have to go through all of these classes and instructor training, and we actually go through and do everything that y'all have sitting in there. And then we had to make a better grade to pass the class than you have to. We had to make at least a 70 on the final exam and the lab final to pass, where y'all just had to end up with a 70 average, but you have to do the lab final and the final exam to pass the class. Now, I didn't say you had to pass those 2 items. I just said you had to do them and then how your average grade comes out, okay? Is everybody following that? So if you don't do one of those, I don't have to look at what any of your other grades were. I know what your grade is. It's an F. Don't make me do that. Okay, let me start Packet Tracer real quick, because I think I want to start it before I go to sharing the screen. and hopefully it comes up pretty quick. It's really a small program. Also, I'll mention this one. It only works on, it doesn't work on Chromebooks. However, the school has virtual machines available. If you want to use them, I will get them to install Packet Tracer on them, and then you can do your work on there. Because it will work on several others. I believe it works on Macs and Linux, if I remember right. But it doesn't work on Chromebooks. It used to work on your phone, but I wouldn't suggest doing that. Apparently, I haven't logged on here in a little bit. All right, let me go ahead and share the screen just so y'all can see it as I go along. I think it will. Ooh, I got a reminder about something. Oh, that was lunch. Okay. Let me share the screen. I'm going to share an application. I'm going to have to share and then share again, because you're going to get a screen like this to log in on it. You're going to use your NetAcad login to log in. So you will do on this. Are y'all seeing this at this point? Yes, you are. And this is where I start getting confused. Because I have to be real careful and make sure I'm in actually in. So you will choose this one, that is the Networking Academy. But I would encourage you to go ahead and click this button down here if it's, unless you're on a machine that other people use. But if it's your own machine, like for me, this is my own office machine right here. So I'm going to turn this button on. I just turned it off. There, it's turned on, so I won't have to log into Packet Tracer every time I get on. Okay. And anybody can get Packet Tracer. They can go to NetAcad, create an account, and then they can pull down Packet Tracer and use it for free. So if you've got friends or you know people working in networking that see you working on Packet Tracer and go, ooh, I wish that thing was available where I could use it. Go, yeah, you can, and tell them to go out there and just sign up for an account at NetAcad, and then they can just download it like you did. So I will choose that I'm logged into it. And then I'm going to have to look and see. Oh, I got to log in. I guess that helps. That if I've chosen to log in, that I actually log in. And then my password. Hopefully I typed that correctly. Y'all caught that it was all dots, right? And then it lost the share at that point because it's now changed. So now let me do the share again to the actual Packet Tracer screen. Share an application. And here it is. And there. All right, y'all see that now?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the screen. Now, most of the stuff you're going to do in this class is in the logical tab. There is a physical tab here too, which is new in 8. That's the part that you're not going to see in the trainings, either from Cisco or mine. William, I saw you didn't have a real good connection back when we first started in the class. It was showing yours was weak. Actually, at this point now, there's 2 different ones that are weaker. It's bouncing around because Deidre and Harry are showing not as good right now. Now it's Romeo, Glade, Romeo, Ald. I hope I didn't slaughter your name too bad. So on it. But here, I'll flash to physical real quick. You can see right here that you can actually, it shows it in our city. You can actually click down into the city. You can then go into the office building. And then you can actually go to the wiring closet, which is where generally they're going to have you do things when you get over to that point. But whoops, somewhere I lost that part. So, and that you can set it up in there. But the logical is where we're going to really be working from the beginning. So that's the one on that. Down here at the bottom, first off, I'll tell you where the first fast forward button is. That is the fast forward button with the 2 arrows down here by the bottom. Okay. And then down here, you can choose on this bottom row. I think they used to be the opposite way around to me, but this is the way they are. The first one gives you, which is already chosen, gives you a whole bunch of routers you can choose from. And you see there's all kinds of models of routers. They'll tell you which one. I will tell you right. I don't remember which ones they use right off. I think it's the 4231. That's what they usually use. It's either that or the 4321. And then the second one is the switches, which is what you're going to use in this assignment. So if you click on that, it gives you a list of different switches that are available. The 2900 and a couple others. That 2900 there. Here at the beginning, actually it's 2960. That's the one that you will probably most often use. Actually, for your first assignments, it will be built there already for you. They'll have things on a lot of your assignments, things already built already out here for you. So when you download their file, they'll already have it partly set up for you. So I can get a switch and I can get a PC. So if I come on over here, somewhere in here, which wireless devices, hubs, oh, here it is, it's up here. There's more devices up on the row above, and so I can go to end devices, and now I can choose a PC to stick up here, and so I've got a PC and a switch. Now, back to Deidre's question about she was connecting the wire from the PC to the switch, which was going to the console port. So you'd go to this one, that's connections, looks like a lightning bolt, and choose it, and it gives you all the different type wires you can use. In that case, she's using a console cable, which actually is a built-in rollover cable that we'll talk about later. But she's using a console cable, which is the light blue one here. And all it's used for is to be able to allow your PC to get into that switch or router and to configure it. It doesn't communicate anything back to your PC other than you're just going into a terminal, looking into it, working on it. In the future, on a lot of these, you will actually just be able to go into the switch and be able to put stuff straight in the switch. On this first assignment, the switch is locked that they gave you, so you can't do that. But in the future, you'll be able to do this, come over here to config, well, to CLI, and you'll actually be able to go in and configure it. Now, you can't do that in the real world. You got to go through a PC to get into the switch because the switch doesn't have a display for it. So, but this first assignment, you can't do this. So you're going to have to set up a console cable from the PC. So you would choose the console cable down there and then come up here, and if you click on the PC, it then gives you the ports that are available to it. This console cable will actually plug into the RS-232 port. Now, you can try to plug it in these others, but it's not going to go. It's not the right shape. It's actually the small RS-232 on it. So we'll click that, and it plugs in. Now we've got the other end of the cable. We'll come over to the switch, and if you just hover over, it shows you all of the ports there. Okay? But if you click on it, it then gives you the list of all the ports. And there's the port Deidre was asking me about. Which one was it? It's called console. And it's actually labeled as console on the switch. And so we plug it. It's now plugged in. So now our PC can talk to the switch. Now, if I also click on the switch, I can view physical, and you'll be able to do this too. You see there where you can actually see on it. When we plugged it into the console port there, that should be that port right here. That should be the console, but I can't read the little letters on it real good right at the moment. But I'm pretty sure that is the console port. okay? Is where you plugged it into. So you can actually look and see the switch like it really appears. So now what I will do is go into the PC. Whoops, somebody just typed something in. Okay, the second window that I had pop up there was when I clicked on the switch, and then it popped up the second window for me. And if your pop-ups are blocked, that will give a problem, might give a problem to you on it. It may not either, because you're not running through a browser on this, okay? It's a standalone program. But you're not going to have the options if you're using the file. If you have opened the file they give you, you're not going to have a few of the options. If you're just creating it blind like I am, you'll see all of those options right there, okay? Now, the way you're going to program the switch now is by clicking on the PC. So you're going to need these pop-ups right here. And then we're going to go to desktop. And then from here, we're going to choose terminal. Now, if you were doing this on real machines, on a real switch and a real PC, and you would hook it together with the rollover cable, you would actually run putty tail or some other terminal emulation program to get to see the that over there. So you're running a terminal emulation program is what you're effectively doing. So I choose that. This same thing would pop up on your PC in real life. And you can just leave these speeds all as is. Remember, you're direct connect, so you're really not that big concerned on the speed. And then you will get this screen. And you would get the same thing off a real switch at this point also from the PC. And then
Your second windows aren't popping up. All we see is,
oh, okay.
yeah.
Sorry about that. I know what's going on now. That's because the share's not sharing that window. Sorry about that. Got ya. Let me change the share because, so I'll bring this one to you real quick. I didn't think about that. I got to stop the share and then I can start a share. All right, now y'all should see the pop-up in just a sec there. Okay, so you'll get this pop-up to it. Now, is everybody with me now? Sorry about that. I didn't catch what y'all were saying. So now you got this. You'll hit return to get started. So I will hit return, but I got to get into my window again because I'm sitting in the share. And it comes back and gets you at switch greater than sign. The switches by default are named switch. The routers by default are named router. You're going to be able to rename them in just a second. So from here is where you're going to type in the commands they're showing you in chapter 2. So for the very first thing is you're in a view only at this point. And there's 2 levels that you can be in a switch and a router. There's exec level, there is the view level, and there's a privileged level where you can actually program it and everything, which is what we're going to go to. So we'll enable that privileged by doing enable. And you can abbreviate stuff by typing in the first 3 characters of most commands in the Cisco iOS. That'll be all you'll need to put in most of the time for most of them. So instead of having to spell out enable, I can just put ENA. Sometimes you can actually get by with 1 or 2 letters. Whatever makes it a unique word is as far as you have to go. So I hit on that, and notice down there on the screen, it changed from a greater than sign to a number sign. Now later on in the Cisco courses, you'll learn where you can password protect this going to this level so that you can let people go in and look at stuff in your device, but they can't change anything because they got to be up in privileged mode to be able to make changes. But right now, we've got no password on there or anything. You can check out whenever you want at this point, that you'll get credit for today. It's not that you got to have an hour's time in here, but as you can see, I don't have enough time to get all of this stuff done in an hour. So I understand all that. So then from here, if you're going to configure it, if you wanted to just look at what the settings are already in there, now my head just went empty. Because there was the user exec mode and then privilege exec mode. You've seen both of those. We're going to be, this is doing it using Telnet, but if you were doing it across the network, don't use Telnet, you'd use Secure Shell. Why has my mind just gone blank? I don't know. They should give me a list of commands at the end of the chapter, but they don't, do they? So they're going to lead you through the basics on them. And, oh, there. Oh, okay, got it now. If I do show run, and I'm not in that screen again, so that didn't do much. If I do show run, which is actually show running dash configuration, that it will show me what all of the initial configuration settings, all of them are as they sit right now. So if you look, you'll see you got all those interfaces, which you saw a moment ago, but none of them have any settings on them. And so you can look at that at any point. If you hit the space bar, it gives you a whole nother screen. If you hit enter, it goes down one line by one line. You can also use your arrows and scroll back up, or use your little bar over on the side and scroll back up if you want to look back up through there. Now, to put in those actual commands, you're going to go to configuration mode, which will be config T. And I'm just going to put one command in just to show you. And then at that point, notice your prompt changes again. Now it says switch config number sign. So it's now in configuration mode inside privileged exec mode on the switch. So that prompt tells you a lot of stuff. Now, if I want to change the name of this device, which they are going to have you do, and I'm going to change the name of it to my last name. So it's going to be Watt. I'll type host, which actually is abbreviation for host name. And if we look back up there when we did the show config a moment ago, and I keep going to the wrong screen because I got two of these showing on my screen, that if we come back up here to the top, you notice it says host name switch. So that was what it's configured as right now. So now if I do this and hit enter, notice what just happened. It no longer says switch config, it says Watt config, because it gives the name of the switch, and we just renamed the switch. Okay, and that's all that that command requires. Now, once you get all the commands put in, you do want to save it, which saves that on the device. It does not save it in your file, so keep those straight. So I will exit config mode, which I can do Control Z to come back out of there, and that took me out of there. Now it gives me this long little message here right after it put Watt number sign. You can start typing right there. The device knows that's not anything you typed in there, so ignore it, or you can hit enter and get yourself a clean prompt. I generally hit enter and get a clean prompt. But I know plenty of people that start typing right there, but I like it cleaner and not trying to mess up, seeing it mixed up with my other stuff. Now I can do again show run, and if we look, we see host name now says Watt. And I'm going to come down here to save this configuration file. You will do copy run start. Now what that's saying is copy the running configuration to the startup configuration. And that's the name of the two files. So the running one is just in memory. Just like when you're working in Word. If you're typing along in Word and if you don't have autosave set on it, back in the old days we didn't have autosave available to us, you're typing along, so you put the stuff into the document. If you turn the machine off and not have saved, it's gone, right? Same thing here. What this does is just like doing save when you're in Word, it then writes it. In that case, it probably writes it to the disk or your flash drive, whatever. This writes it to the flash memory in the device. So we'll do copy run start. It then checks to make sure we know what file we're wanting to send it to, which is startup-config. So you just hit enter and it's saved. So now that's saved in there. Now the other part is, so I'm going to close this. And I'm actually going to cover the rest of Deidre's question, but I'm going to have to resave the screen, reshare the screen again. So let me come back to just the regular packet tracer screen, which has been sitting there open all the time, as y'all know, since you didn't get to see the pop-ups necessarily the whole time. Now, here, once you get it all in here, the other part is, I will tell you this. In most of your assignments, down here, I'm pretty sure it's down here in the right corner, it will show you the percentage you have done. Okay? Watch that. You want to get it to 100. Now, I wished I'd opened one that was actually out there because it actually gives you another option up here. You can also go to that. You'll also have a check results one on here too. I'll get y'all a screen print with it actually working and put out there, and I'll mark the show the check results button. If you go to that check results button, which should be up here at the top if I'm remembering right in this version, it will change screens on you at that point from this, and it will list all of the things it was looking for, and it will have red X's and green checks, and will tell you what's either something that is either incorrect or missing. Now, it won't tell you which one of those. It'll just tell you basically it's not there correctly. And so you'll know what thing to go back and make sure you did correctly. Look back in your directions in your document and find it again and fix it. If you can't figure out why it's wrong, email me and ask me on it, and you can go ahead and send me that packet tracer file while you're at it, because most likely I'm going to ask you to send it to me. It's a small file, so it will go across the email with no problem. And when I get that file, I can open it up and see exactly what you've done, and then I can figure out what it is that you're doing incorrectly at that point, and so that you can fix it correctly. You want to get those to 100. The score you're going to get on these assignments is that score, but could be some couple of things could reduce it. One is if it's late, it's 15 points a week starting minute after midnight on Tuesday morning that it was due on Monday night. Second one is you have to put your name on this desktop. To do that, you are going to use this little button right here. I'm not sure what it's really supposed to be shaped. It used to be shaped like a piece of paper, but now I'm not sure what that. I guess that's supposed to be a piece of paper with type on it. Still, it says called place note. And just come down here somewhere on the screen, click, and you get a text box. Just type your name in right there. If you don't put your name in there, it's going to cost you 30 points. So make sure you get your name on here. And that's taken off of whatever your score was showed on the screen down here. Just get your name put on here, okay? You can put it anywhere on this screen, and I mean by anywhere, even all the way over to the right, but preferably get it in this main section here so I can see it easily. And that's there. And then you're going to save the file and do the save. If you want to change the name of it, you can do save as. But don't do this save as PKZ or save as a common cartridge. If you do save, it's going to save it as the same thing as it was wherever it was. Save as would allow you to change the name of it, and obviously you could change the names going through File Explorer, but leave the extension of .pkz, pkt on it, pka on it. I mean, I said, well, I'm now confused myself. With pkt on it, you'll have some things. Yours actually will be pka, correction, because this is pkt. But yours will be, because you're downloading them and they've already got it set up, and they've got it set up to automatically score their A's for activity, their packet tracer activities, where this is a packet tracer something. I don't know what the T is for, but and you will run into that possibly somewhere along the way if you take all three courses from me. And so then you'll choose where to save it to. But make sure you save it. And then that file, whatever it is what you're going to submit in the Dropbox and Blackboard. Now, I'm going to normally not grade these. My policy is not to grade them. No, don't use PKT, use PKA, which is what is the extension on, because they're going to give you the file. You're going to download the file from Netacad, and you're going to work on that file. So they're already going to have the equipment in there, but then you're going to have to cable the equipment together correctly. Okay? And then you're going to have to configure the devices. So download it, work on it. You can save it. You can then work on it again later. Here's another nice part on doing these with Packet Tracer. You can work on it there at home. Save it on your flash drive, take the flash drive with you to someplace else, plug it in there, and as long as they got Packet Tracer on their machine, and obviously if they don't, you can download it and install it on there, because you can download it and install it as many places as you want, and you can continue working on it just like where you left off at. And then when you send it to me, that right now, it's not going to show PKA. PKA is only going to show when you get those files that you download from Netacad. They're going to be PKA files. If you just create your own file here in Packet Tracer, it's going to be a PKT, or that you can do it as a zipped one, which makes it smaller, but they're small files anyway, and that would be a PKZ file. And you can work on it there. You save it again on there, and you can go work it on another device. So you're not limited to just working on your assignment in one location. You can come to the school and work on it. And then when you mail it, when you submit it and put it in the Dropbox to me, I've got exactly what you had. And then that's what I'm going to grade by, is by going through that. Okay. Now, on your assignments, if you make less than 100, I will put a comment on there telling you what you did wrong. On the first one, I may well, if you did certain things wrong, I may well allow you to fix them and resubmit it. But I may not be doing that on later ones. For instance, like putting your name on the desktop, if you left your name off on the desktop on the first assignment, I will put a note on there and return it, and I'll have a grade of 0 on it. So don't panic on that one when you see 0. If you see a grade of 0 from me on an assignment, that's not saying that you made a 0 on it. Most likely, if you had turned it in, I doubt very seriously you made a 0 on it. It's telling you that I had to enter a grade for you, because that's the only way I can put comments in there. And go in, look at those comments, and if it was a 0 on it, that and it wasn't something you earned, which I just can't imagine, you would also see the words fix and submit, resubmit, and that you need to fix it and then resubmit it to me again. Those need to be resubmitted within 2 weeks. I normally do not grade things until after the due date. So if you go and do the assignment this afternoon, and then later this week, all of a sudden you realize you goofed up something in it, you can go back in, fix it, and resubmit it. And when I grade, I will be using the grade that will go in the grade book is the highest grade of the 2 of them. okay, or 3 of them, or 4 of them, or how many ever, because I've got it set. You can submit it unlimited times. However, once I grade it, unless I tell you fix and resubmit, the grade you got there is the grade you got. Any questions on all of that? And I see some more things have popped up in here. I think but when you do on there right now, since you don't have a downloaded file, it's going to only give you PKT and PKZ type choice. When you download the packet tracer file from Dedicat in the assignment, in the midst of the curriculum is where your assignments are. And when you download it, the file you download will be a PKA file. Now it's got 2 parts to it. So when you open a PKA file, it has the directions in there also, which is essentially a Acrobat file, PDF file, but it's built into the PKA file. So when you open it up, it will pop up your directions for you at that point. Now, they also give you an option to download just the directions, but y'all want to download the PKA one because that's got for you to do it in Packet Tracer and the directions built in it. Okay. So yes, Harry, just save it as the default. Leave it. It's going to be PKA and you're going to save it as the PKA. So just leave the extension alone. For many of you, well, that's not going to be a recognizable one, so you'll see the extension on there, more than likely. So don't fool with the extensions. Don't put periods in your file names either, because that will confuse Windows into thinking they're looking at an extension before it gets to the extension. So you really shouldn't put periods in file names. The only periods should be between the file name and the extension. So watt.pka, chapter 1.1.1.1, they actually do put periods in them, thinking about it, but ignore that when you're doing it. I got a disagreement with them on that one. But leave them as but you can change the name if you want to. I would probably leave them as the names on them. The place where you're identifying yourself on it is on that screen where I just showed you how to put your name on the screen. And that is mandatory. That, like I said, it will cost you 30 points. Any other questions real quick on me? Sorry about us going this long, an hour and 20 minutes today, and I really didn't touch on chapter 1. I may go back and just do a short recording, go over those terms and stuff in chapter 1 real quickly for you tomorrow and stick out there as a recording, and I will tell you on that. The other one is, I think I saw a question earlier about, will I tell you when these sessions will be? That in any event, these will be normally every week at this time on Tuesday, at 2 o'clock on Tuesday. If I'm not going to have it that Tuesday, I will post out there an announcement about that we're changing the date for it. Because I do know there will be a few times it will change. I know February the 16th, that as of now, that will change because I'm supposed to go to the Georgia State Capitol with Leadership Walker that day. So I can't do the sessions that day. So we will move them to Wednesday that week. And there may be a week that you have to do the discussion, because I know there is a week I'm supposed to be in North Carolina in training in March, I believe it is. And I will be in sessions all day there, Tuesday through Thursday, from like 8 or 9 in the morning till 5 o'clock at night. And on one evening, they have a dinner for us. So that one I'll have to change. But and that week I'll have to deal with Monday also, because I'll be driving up there on Monday, and then on Friday they have half a day, and then it's like a 7-hour, 8-hour drive back for me and drive up there. So for week 1 that just ended today, and should have ended yesterday, okay? But because yesterday was a holiday, I extended the day a day, the week a day. There is nothing that you had to turn in, correct? The week that started yesterday and ends this coming Monday on January the 24th, there you have an assignment to turn in from chapter 2, module 2, that you got at least one packet tracer assignment in there. I don't remember if there was more than one. And you also have a test to take by that time. 3, okay? But they're not real difficult. The other part is, if you have a problem with them, email me. As some of y'all have already found out, I do answer emails promptly, and that I do normally answer email in the evening and on weekends. And I did answer emails yesterday, which was a holiday, early in the morning, and then last night about 9 o'clock or so, I answered the emails. So somewhere 9 o'clock in the morning and 9 o'clock at night yesterday, I think I answered emails. And then during the week, I normally answer them all day while I'm sitting here at the desk. So as I see them come in, and like y'all saw at the beginning, that I was answering an email from a student asking about the session. So I do answer them. So if you hit a problem on it, contact me. And then like I say, we'll have these normally every week at 2 o'clock on Tuesdays. But it could change some weeks. Okay. Any other questions for me? But I hope y'all all do well. I would like to see y'all do well. I'm in here to help y'all. And I'm here to help y'all beyond just at these times on it. And so, and I know y'all have mixed schedules at times too, so all of you can't make every week, and some students can't do these at all. So you got the discussion alternative instead on the weeks when you can't do the live collaborate, or actually it's the other way around. When is the live collaborate is an additional option I offered after I had discussions for years. Because when I've taken some classes the last few years, I really like these live type sessions. It's been real helpful. And I started doing this based on when I took a class on cyber ops, my 2601 class, when I took the class to be trained to teach it, that the instructor had every week one evening for us, that he had an open session like this for it, and he went over stuff and answered questions, and that was real helpful because he's sitting up in North Carolina. So that's where I'm coming from. Any other questions? If not, I am going to stop the recording.